Shalom, shalom, Weberakom, Mishpacha, Chabarim, to my 916 Sean Sean YouTube. What's up? This your girl Shanti Dot. Wanted to come on real quick and just say a few words. Um, Hope y'all having a good and blessed day so far. I know it's still morning time here on the West Coast. Um, Hopefully, I won't make this too long, but I hope this day starts a good beginning of your week. I hope you all are good and blessed. Please keep my family in your prayers. Um, we had a death in a family of an accident of a toddler, a 3 year old. So just keep my family in your prayers and thoughts, please. Just real quick, I want to come and talk about teach the poor how to fish. There's a saying that goes, give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day. Teach him how to fish and he'll eat forever. Um, and I'll go over a few scriptures and to corroborate the points I'm bringing out. Um, and you could call this a lesson or a sermonette or whatever you want, but it was just on my heart, my mind, my soul, my spirit, and I just want to share and get it out. I love taking care of people who don't have the means to take care of themselves. And I also like helping people who are already in the motion in the process of helping themselves. They may just fall short a few times with taking care of their basic necessities and needs to survive in this life. We have people over here in Sacramento, California, where the cost of living is going up. People are barely able to pay rent. People are barely able to take care of themselves with healthy eating because it may be on the expensive scale. We have people fighting disease and depression, and people need the means to take care of themselves, um, so they can live, thrive in this life, and be prosperous. And so I'm in a position to where people see me and they believe I'm balling or living comfortable and good. The thing is, they don't see what goes on they don't see what goes on behind the scenes to make sure me and my husband are good. They don't see the process. They don't see the fine tuning and tweaking. They don't see the sacrifices or the things of value you have to sometimes give up in order to make sure you have this significant requirement over here, and then this other thing you probably need to have that needs to go by the wayside just maybe a few weeks later. But you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. I love helping people when I'm in the position to help people. What I more so want to do is I want to not just give the man a fish, because if I give that man a fish, that man or that woman, that human being, if I give that person a fish, yeah, he is only going to eat for a day. He's only going to have that basic necessity for then. But what happens to the next day, Yahweh willing, he wakes up and he's hungry again. He still need to eat, right? So is he going to ask for me to come back? And if that's the case, then that cycle is going to be repeating to where I have to keep coming back and giving that person a fish. They're not learning to be self sufficient that way. If I teach a person how to fish, that person is going to go out with that pole, go to the water, have the right line, have the right bait, have the right hook, and be able to go catch all the fish. And I won't need to keep going back to that person every day. That person is going to be able to take care of themselves, be self sufficient, be able to survive and thrive on their own. And then they're going to be able to extend that to a family they take on and build. And I know the Messiah, Yeshua, Jesus said the poor are always going to be with you. And people want to always equate poor with lack of money, lack of food resources. Poor is not just poor in materials or monetary things. Poor can also mean poor in spirit. Like the Beatitudes say in Matthew 5, right? Poor can also be poor in skill. You're poor in your work ethic. You're poor in your mindset. You're poor in strength. You're poor in courage. You're poor in peace, lacking, without, right? You're poor in comfort. You're poor in happiness and joy, you know. And those type of people, we say, are, in a mode of depression. We say those type of people have a mental illness, right? We say they have physical disabilities, right? So poor doesn't always mean lacking in money or monetary or material things or food. Maybe you're lacking a mentality to want to go out and get it. Maybe you're lacking a mentality to want to go out and learn how to fish, learn how to sew, learn how to crochet, learn how to build houses, learn how to grow and garden, learn how to get into the agriculture, learn math and science, learn how to take apart a computer, learn how to put back a computer, learn how to do some office clerical work, learn how to increase your skills, be wanting to get an education beyond the 12th grade. A lot of people are poor in wanting to better themselves that way. That's a choice that some people make. Now, out here in the streets of Sacramento, and I'm going to get to the scriptures in a minute that I'm going to bring out. But out here in the streets of Sacramento, we have people who we consider poor. We see them running around. They dig in garbage cans. They probably have hand-me-down clothes. They probably have a basket that they're pushing with all of their belongings. And people say, okay, we should go out and help these people. We should go out and feed these people. We should go out and give these people clothes and necessities. We should go out and make them sandwiches, give them hygiene kits, things of that nature. I'm down for that. The thing is, in Sacramento, we have a special and unique issue. We have some people who are able bodies out here. What I mean by able bodies is they have the activities of their limbs. They can use their arms and their legs. What I mean by able bodies is that they don't have a mental illness. Some of them out there. Some of the people do have family they can go to. Some of them they just choose not to go to the family. Maybe because they don't want to adhere to the family's household rules. Some people are what you call free spirits, and they just want to be out, collecting money and food and necessities from people who are willing to give. Some people make a living off of standing out in the street or doing what they do, holding up signs. I want to help those who want to be helped. I don't I don't help the poor or the needy and say, well, I help the poor and the needy. What I do don't need to be seen. And I also ask people, I'm like, what about the people who are, they're in the house, they have the children, maybe they just lost their job, maybe they just lost their spouse. Why don't we think about those people in need? Those people need food on the table too. Those people need help with their mortgage or rent. You know what I'm saying? That those people need help as well. Those are people already in the position. They just fall short sometimes and need some assistance along the way. What about that? Now, just because somebody don't see me or hear me taking care of the poor, the widow, and the fatherless, doesn't mean I'm not doing it. Doesn't mean anybody's not doing it. But check this out. I'm gonna go to Matthew 6 real quick. Okay, Matthew 6. I'm gonna try to make this quick. Matthew 6, and I'm reading from the Scriptures ISR. Matthew 6, starting at verse 1. It says, beware of doing your kind deeds before men in order to be seen by them. Otherwise, you have no reward from your Father in the heavens. Thus, when you do a kind deed, do not sound a trumpet before you as the hypocrites do in the congregations and in the streets to be praised by them. Truly, I say to you, they have their reward. But when you do a kind deed, do not let your right, excuse me, but when you do a kind deed, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your kind deed shall be in secret, and your Father who sees in secret shall himself reward you openly. All right? So, I don't need to go take a Facebook Live out to the streets of Sacramento and let everybody know I'm giving alms to the poor. I don't need to sound the shofar and let you know what I'm doing over here to help this woman who just lost her spouse or help this man who just lost his spouse. I don't need to let people know I put food on the table of somebody struggling who just lost their occupational means of employment. You see what I'm saying? Now, I'm gonna go to Proverbs 10. We'll go to Proverbs 10. I'll make this quick. Proverbs 10. What do I want to get? Proverbs 10, verse 4. Poor is he who works with a lazy hand, but the hand of the hard worker makes rich. Sometimes the poor are choosing to be poor because, like I said, they lack the want to get the skills to be able to be self sufficient. They don't want to take the time to get educated. They like, oh, 2, 3, 4 years is not cool. And sometimes all they need to do is go to a mentoring or mentoring program or some sort of big brother, big sister, or some sort of apprenticeship program. And sometimes those things are more cost efficient than going to a 2 year, 3 year, 4 year school or university. You see what I'm saying? Some people are like, well, I just don't have time for that. Well, we do see what they had time for because what they're doing, they're showing you that that's what they had time for. That's what's significant to them, right? So that's Proverbs 10, verse 4. Poor is he who works with the lazy hand, but the hand of the hard worker makes rich. Let's go to Proverbs 13. Proverbs 13, verse 4. The being of the lazy one craves but has not, while the being of the hard workers are enriched. When you're lazy, that means you don't want to do something, right? When you're lazy, you crave, you want, you beg because you don't have it. But if you weren't lazy, if you wanted to work, if you had the work ethic, if you wanted to get out and press your way through some things, sweat sometimes, you know, spend a few hours doing things, you won't have to be begging. You already have what you need to take care of your body's um, things that it needs and requires to run and operate and function correctly, right? Let's see something. Let's go to I want to talk about this real quick, real quick, real quick. Deuteronomy 15, because a lot of people say, well, we should be doing this, we should be doing that. I'm like, yeah, we should, but you got to explain how and you got to explain why. Telling somebody what they should do and not really explaining the intricacies or details on how to do that and why and when, you're going to get people lost up in the sauce. Deuteronomy 15. Let's see something here. Let's start at verse 7. Deuteronomy 15, start at verse 7. When there is a poor man with you, one of your brothers. Now, who's the poor? One of your brothers, right? Actually, let me look up this word poor in the Hebrew real quick for Deuteronomy 15 and 7. This is what I like to do. I like to go to the Strong's Concordance and look up words at times. I do have the exhaustive here, but I also have it on my phone, my MySword app here. So I'm just gonna pull it up real quick, so I won't have to do a lot of flipping. The word poor, ebion, ebion. Brown Driver and Briggs definition says a poor person is defined as someone in want, needy, subject to oppression and abuse, needing help, deliverance from trouble. General reference to lowest class, right? In the sense of want, destitute, right? So who's the poor? The poor says when there is a poor man with you, right? When there is a poor man with you, one of your brothers, within any of the gates in your land, which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you, do not harden your heart nor shut your hand from your poor brother. See, we got to define what poor is. We got to define who to take care of as the poor. It's one of your neighbors, your brothers. within your gates, within your realm, within your community, right? Verse 8. For you shall certainly open your hand to him and certainly lend him enough for his need. Lend him enough for his need, whatever he needs. Be on guard, lest there be a thought of Belial in your heart. The Belial means worthlessness in your heart, saying, the seventh year, the year of release, is near, and your eye is evil against your poor brother, and you give him not. Right? Evil eye is being stingy, being greedy. It's the year of release, the seventh year, right? And you say, well, I'm not going to give what my brother needs to him because it's the sixth year, and in the seventh year that's close, and I might not be able to get back from what I let my brother get. That's the evil eye. That's being stingy and greedy, right? All right. And he shall cry out to Yahweh against you, and it shall be a sin in you. Verse 10, Deuteronomy 15. You shall certainly give to him, and your heart should not be grieved when you give to him, because for this reason Yahweh your Elohim does bless you in all your works and in all to which you put your hand, because the poor one does not cease from the land. Right, there's going to be the poor with you. There's someone who's always going to have just a little bit less, someone who's going to fall short at times. So you're going to have these people within. But there's a protocol that the Father is putting out here. There's a protocol or a set standard to when there is a poor brother amongst you in your community, how to go about taking care of them. You see what I'm saying? All right. It says, because the poor one does not cease from the land. Therefore, I am commanding you, saying, you shall certainly open your hand to your brother, to your poor, and to your needy one in your land. Right? All right. Let's go to Deuteronomy 24. I've been on here for 20 minutes. I'm gonna try to wrap it up with something lastly, right? Deuteronomy 24, verse 10. Let's start at verse 10. When you lend your brother alone, see, you can lend your brother alone. Who is your brother? Your neighbor, right? Do not go into his house to get his pledge. Verse 12. And if the man is poor, do not sleep with his pledge, right? Verse 13, by all means, return the pledge to him at sundown, and he shall sleep in his own garment, and shall bless you, and it shall be righteousness to you before Yahweh your Elohim. Right? Verse 14 of Deuteronomy 24, this is kicker. Do not oppress a hired servant who is poor and needy. See, you can hire a servant. That means you can employ somebody and have them work for you, and you compensate them with some wages, right? So sometimes the compensation for the wages, may not be sometimes all the way efficient. Sometimes the employee has some unexpected things that come up, right? Maybe he has another family member that he needs to take care of. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes there's a lack because there's emergencies that arise, right? So it says, verse 14, Deuteronomy 24:14, do not oppress a hired servant who is poor and needy of your brothers or of your strangers who are in your land, within your gates, within your community. If you don't know who your established community is, how can you say, okay, we need to give to these people? Make sure you establish the people who are in your community, within your gates, your neighbors, right? Who are sojourning with you as Israelites. Make sure you know who they are so you can take care of them, right? Take care of them. See, this is a proper protocol and standard. You know what I'm saying? These are the detailed intricacies that the Father's laying out about who the poor are and how to take care of the poor and when. Right? Verse 15. Give him his wages on the same day, and do not let the sun go down on it, for he is poor, and lifts up his being to it, so that he does not cry out against you to Yahweh, and it shall be sin in you. Right? So make sure if you are an employer, that means you have a business. That means you are in the business of employing people and making sure people are compensated for the time they did a service for you, right? Just make sure you pay them what's due to them. Give them their wages the same day, right? If you say you're gonna pay somebody on a Tuesday for the 40 hours of work they did the previous week before, you make sure you pay them on that Tuesday. Don't hold anything back. Don't hold anything back. Right? Let's go to Deuteronomy 26. Um, actually, before let's see. Okay, this is what I want to wrap this up with. This is what I want to wrap this up with. I want to talk about the tithe. Tithe means a tenth. Now, we are supposed to bring tithe or tenth or offering. When you're offering, you're actually serving the Father by using the gifts that the Father has imparted in you to do the service of the Father, which is the will of the Father, which is to take care of the people in your community, your neighbors who are within your gates, who are sojourning with you as Israelites, who are keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. Right? Right. Um, an offering, that Hebrew word is korban. Korban, an offering, it means you're coming near to the Most High. When you come near to the Most High, you get that knowledge, you get that understanding. Your spirit is connecting with that spirit to be led and guided into all truth, to be taught everything, to be revealed everything that's not necessarily verbatim written in the scriptures, right? So that's what necessarily offering is. When you're bringing yourself close to the Most High, you're able to get filled with the skills and wisdom you need to go out and service the people, right? That's what your offering is. So offering is not necessarily money all the time, but offering is you sometimes. It's like the verse says, present your body as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto Yahweh. You are a living sacrifice. A sacrifice means giving up something of value to you. Giving up something of value to you in order to have other people's needs and considerations before yours. You see what I'm saying? And sometimes you sacrifice for the greater good of the community as a whole, right? So let's go real quick to Numbers 18. Now this is something about the tithe and the offering. Now the offerings they're listed in Leviticus chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 6, 7, and 8 go through the same ones. There's the before I go to Numbers 18, there's the trying to remember all the words. There's the Asham offering or the guilt offering. There's the Chatas sin offering. There's the Olah burnt or sending offering. There's the Mincha or meal offering. Um, there's the Shalomim or peace offering or Todah offering that's included in the Shalomim or peace offering, right? So each of those offerings are laid down, what they are, when they are to be brought, why they are to be brought, what they cover for, right? So offering is not just money. It's making sure you bring yourself close, keep yourself close, elevate yourself to the Most High Yahweh Spirit so that your spirit can tap into that Holy Spirit and be led and guided into all truth so that you have the proper knowledge and understanding to apply the wisdom that the Most High has imparted in you, right? But let's go to something about the offerings. Numbers 18. I didn't want to make this long, but sometimes you just got to. You just got to explain some things. All right. So there's three tithes. See, some people don't understand. There's three tithes, and there's offerings, right? So the offerings, like I said in Leviticus 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, those talk about the offerings, but tithes is something different, right? But check this out. Numbers 18. Um, all right. Let me start at verse 1. It says, and Yahweh said to Aharon, the high priest, you and your sons and your father's house with you are to bear the crookedness and against the set apart place, and you and your sons with you are to bear the crookedness against your priesthood. So they were the go between the for the people. People bring the priest the offerings. The offerings are going up to the Most High, and this is the precedent, or this is the prototype in which Yeshua Jesus Christ is the high priest, right? All right. Verse 4 of Numbers 18. And they shall be joined with you and guard the duty to the tent of appointment for all the service of the tent, but a stranger does not come near you. Verse 6. And see, I myself have taken your brothers, the Levites, or the Levites, from the midst of the children of Israel, a gift to you, given by Yahweh, to do the service of the tent of appointment. They were called to do the service, right? This was a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week service. If you go to Chronicles, right, you can see that each priest was given a 2-week period to serve, right? So this is a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week thing. So this is why the Levites were taken. This is why taken to the Most High to do the service. Okay, they didn't have any inheritance in the land because their occupational job pretty much was to run the temple services and the offerings and things of that nature. They didn't have any inheritance in the land. They didn't have any land to work. They didn't have any means of taking care of themselves. They didn't have any means of taking care of their family, monetarily speaking. So this is what the Most High imparted to them. That's why the Most High said, "Look, I'm going to read what the Most High is going to give them, the offerings." Check this out. Numbers 18, verse 7. But you and your sons with you are to guard your priesthood for all matters at the slaughter place or the altar and behind the veil, and you shall serve. That's what you do. That's their duty, right? I have given you the priesthood as a gift for service, but the stranger who comes near is put to death. And Yahweh spoke to Aharon, and see, I myself have also given you the charge of my contributions, all the set apart gifts of the children of Israel. I have given them to you for the anointing and to your sons as a law forever. This is yours of the most set apart gifts from the fire, all their offerings, all their grain offerings, and all their sin offerings, and all their guilt offerings, which they render to me, are most set apart for you and your sons. Verse 10, eat, E-A-T, eat it in the most set apart place. Every male eats it. It is set apart to you. Why does it say every male? That's a good question. And I'll go back and check that out because the sons, the Levites, we know the priests are already men. Why does it have the need to say here every male eats it? We'll keep going. Verse 11. This is also yours, the contribution of their gift with all the wave offerings of the children of Israel. I have given them to you and your sons and daughters with you as a law forever. Everyone who is clean in your house eats it. All right. All right. Um. All right. Let's go here. Let's get to Numbers 18, verse 20. And Yahweh said to Aharon, "You are not to have an inheritance in their land, nor have any portion in their midst. I am your portion and your inheritance among the children of Israel. And see, I have given the children of Levi or Levi all the tithes in Israel as an inheritance in return for the service which they are serving, the service of the tent of appointment. And let the children of Israel no more come near the tent of appointment, lest they bear sin and die, because the Levites shall do the service of the tent of appointment, so they themselves bear their crookedness, a law forever throughout your generations, that among the children of Israel they are to have no inheritance. But the tithes of the children of Israel, which they present as a contribution to Yahweh, I have given to the Levites as an inheritance. That is why I have said to them, among the children of Israel, they have no inheritance. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the Levites and say to them, When you take from the children of Israel the tithes, which I have given you from them as your inheritance, then you shall present a contribution of it to Yahweh, a tenth of the tithe. So the Levites were supposed to take the tithe, and then from that tithe, they were supposed to give a tenth from that tithe. That's the first. That's the first tithe. That's the priest. The priests only ate. That's the first tithe, Numbers 18. Right? And so this is what Malachi 3 was covering. Numbers 18, verse 26, there was a lack of the priesthood, making sure they gave a tenth of the tenth. That's the first time, right? Numbers 18. Okay? Verse 28, Numbers 18. Thus You also present a contribution unto Yahweh from all your tithes, which you receive from the children of Israel, and you shall give from it the contribution to Yahweh to Aharon the priest. Right? That's the first time. All right? All right. That's the tithe year by year. That's the tithe given year by year. So there's certain times when you're supposed to tithe. And there are certain tithes. There's 3 of them. That's the year by year. Right? All right, let's go to the second tithe. Deuteronomy 14. And then I'm going to wrap this video up. Deuteronomy 14. Let's start at verse 22. It says, you shall tithe without fail all the yield of your grain that the field brings forth year by year. These are what's called the feast or festival tithes at the appointed times. And this is when all the people are going to participate in the tithe eating and drinking. Let me continue to read. So Deuteronomy 14, let's continue, right? Verse 23, and you shall eat before Yahweh your Elohim in the place where he chooses to make his name dwell, the tithe of your grain and your new wine and your oil and the firstlings of your herds and your sheep, so that you learn to fear Yahweh your Elohim always. So yes, the tithe wasn't necessarily always a monetary thing, but these are things you can actually consume for your bodily system to function properly and rejoice, right? We're going to read that, right? But they did have money, and we're going to see how the tithe did become money for a time and why, right? All right. Deuteronomy 14, let's continue at verse 24. But when the way is too long for you, so that you are not able to bring the tithe, or when the place where Yahweh your Elohim chooses to put his name is too far from you, when Yahweh your Elohim is blessing you, then you shall give it in silver, and shall take the silver in your hand and go to the place which Yahweh your Elohim chooses. And you shall use the silver for whatever your being desires, for cattle or sheep, for wine or strong drink. Yes, that's beer or wine and Hennessy and Crown Royal. That's what people don't understand. All right. For whatever your being desires, right? And you shall eat there before Yahweh your Elohim, and you shall rejoice, you and your household. So this is the harvesting of the crops, what you yielded. You're now, going to take that, but watch this. Watch this. Verse 27 though, and do not forsake the Levite who was within your gates, for he has no part nor inheritance with you. Pay attention. Verse 28, at the end of every 3rd year. This is the second tithe, right? See, the Most High is giving instructions on what the tithe is, how to tithe, and when to tithe, or when to give, right? Verse 28, at the end of every 3rd year, you bring out all the tithe of your increase of that year and store it up within your gates. And the Levite, because he has no portion nor inheritance with you, and the sojourner and the fatherless and the widow who are within your gates shall come and eat and be satisfied, so that Yahweh your Elohim does bless you in all the work of your hand which you do. So when people say, hey, Shanti, man, why you not taking care of the fatherless, the widow, the sojourner, the poor? I am. I'm taking care of them. I might not let you see it, like Matthew 6 said. But there is a certain time that I do it. And there's a certain discretion and discernment that I use before doing this. I have to spiritually consider who is my neighbor within my gates, within my community, and consider giving. And the thing is, I'm not going to put myself in a distressful situation just to help somebody else. That's not really help. And sometimes we can also think we're helping somebody, but we're enabling them. We're enabling them not to, learn how to be self-sufficient. We're enabling them not to go learn how to fish. So the tithe for the Levite, the sojourner, the fatherless, the widow, the poor. Verse 28, Deuteronomy 14, at the end of every third year. So every third year, then 3 years after that, the sixth year. And what's the seventh? The year of release, Jubilee. So this is the year by year, right? That's the second tithe. The third tithe, right? Actually, let me see. Okay, so excuse me. Let me rewind. What I just read about verse 28, 29, that's like the third tithe. So the second tithe I read is about the during the feast, verses 22 to 27. That's during the appointed times. That's the time you bring the tithe. That's the second tithe, right? And then the third is verses 28, 29 of Deuteronomy 14, right? Let me close this out. I think I want to read one more if I didn't. All right. Yeah, Deuteronomy 26. Deuteronomy 26. Starting at verse 12. When you have completed tithing all the tithe of your increase in the third year, we'll be given a time frame, right? Which is the year of tithing. What's the year of tithing? The third year, right? And have given it to the Levite, to the stranger, to the fatherless, and to the widow, and they have eaten within your gates and have been satisfied, then you shall say before Yahweh your Elohim, I have put away the set apart portion from my house. Let's see. Says I'm having some performance trouble, huh? Let me see something here. I shouldn't be. All right. No. All right. So I don't know if the video is continuing, but it says I'm having some CPU performance issues. It's kind of crazy. All right. So that means I need to wrap this up. Don't know if you can still hear me or not. My face is frozen on this camera thing here. But okay, so Deuteronomy 26, like I said, 12 and 13 says, when you have completed tithing all the tithe of your increase in the third year, which is the year of tithing, and have given it to the Levite, to the stranger, to the fatherless, and to the widow, and they have eaten within your gates and have been satisfied, then you shall say before Yahweh your Elohim, I have put away the set apart portion from my house, and also have given it to the Levite, and to the stranger, and to the fatherless, and to the widow, according to all your command which you have commanded me. I have not transgressed your commands, nor have I forgotten. All right. So there's offerings, there's tithes, and there's you know there's teaching the people how to fish. You see what I'm saying? I don't want someone to just continue. Yeah, it's buffering, Sister Kia. I don't know what that was about, but I'm gonna wrap it up here. So I pretty much said and brought out what I wanted to bring out. All right. Um, I hope you can still hear me. I know my camera is frozen because I can see it on my end. Sister Kia said it's buffering. She doesn't know if it's on her end or mine. It's on my end. It's talking about I have some CPU issues. So that means uh, I did some updates on my computer, so it's probably running rampant. I have no clue why, but I checked everything before I started this. But I want to make sure we teach people the skills to be self-sufficient and not just give to people where they have to come back and we keep giving to them all the time. You know what I mean? I think that's doing them a disservice if we don't teach them the skills. If we don't teach them, they're already imparted with the power of the Most High, with knowledge and understanding and wisdom. You see what I'm saying? So with that, I yield. And just because you don't see somebody taking care of the poor don't mean somebody's not taking care of the poor. Just because you don't see somebody taking care of the fatherless and widows doesn't mean they're not doing it. They might just do it in silence, like Yeshua Jesus said in Matthew 6. They don't do things to be seen of men. We don't need to have glory of men. That doesn't really do anything. That's vain, that's worthless. So continue to have a good and blessed day. I love y'all with the love of the Most High. Let me say the priestly Aaronic blessing on the way out. Yahweh Yahweh Yishmaraka. Ya'er Yahweh Panav Elecha V'Hilneka. Yesai Yahweh Panav Elecha V'Yashem Laka Shalom. And that means Yahweh bless you and keep you. May Yahweh shine his face on you and show you favor. May Yahweh lift up his face towards you and give you peace. And I bid you all peace, completeness, and wholeness for the rest of the day, for the rest of the week. Please continue to keep my family in your prayer and go back and take your time with what I just brought out. You see what I'm saying? So we understand who the poor is. We understand when to take care of the poor, how to, and when to. And we understand what offerings are, and we understand when we're supposed to give those, why we're supposed to give those, how we're supposed to give those. You see what I'm saying? How we're supposed to take care of the people. But I want to make sure we get equipped with the skills to take care of ourselves. It doesn't have to necessarily be physical labor for a man all the time. It's okay to get a desk job. You know what I'm talking about? By any means, if you could, what the Most High has imparted in you to take care of your family, that's what we need to do. You see what I'm saying? So, with that, I yield. Y'all continue to have a good and blessed day. Shalom, shalom. Berachot mishpacha v'chaperim. It's your girl 916 Shanti Doc. Ashanti Duck and Dodge 1 DUCCNDODGE #1 @gmail.com. Shalom, shalom.